Hey folks, it's Danny, and tonight it's all about Prince. Prince has always been one of my absolute ultimate all-time personal heroes. Heard about the party? Not just a funk guitar, but his whole style, his whole approach. His songwriting, his production, his ideas, his dancing, everything. The man was just amazing. But tonight, what I want to talk about through this horrendous spring rainstorm in Victoria, is Prince's approach to funk guitar playing. Yeah, we all know Prince is funky. We all know he could shred like Hendrix. But, you know, a lot of people think funk is just about ninth chords and drumming out chicka 16th notes. But this guy had a whole other take on it. He really did carve out a niche that was all his own. Album after album, he came up with sounds and styles of playing and styles of funk guitar that no one else had done before and no one else was doing at the time. I'm just going to give you a handful of what I think are some of the things that Prince absolutely pioneered in funk guitar. I'm going to drill down into some of these things. I love the drill down. All right, as always, before we do, give me a like. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a comment. Ring the bell thingy so you don't miss more of these awesome updates. And I just want to say a quick thank you to a fantastic guy that has loaned me this actual Hohner MadCat with Kinman pickups, the real deal, to work on tonight for this one. So thanks so much, Grant. I really appreciate it. I love having this thing in my hands, and yeah, I won't be rushing it back. Well, one of the things that I absolutely love about Prince's approach to guitar is what I'm going to call minimalism. You know, he's capable of filling every possible 16th note in a song with clever sounds and harmonies and all sorts of things. But he just knows where to leave space. And even though there might be lots going on, it doesn't have to be guitar. Even though the guy was a consummate, amazing guitarist, he wasn't showing off. He was just playing what was right, what was needed for the song. And there's many examples. One that springs to mind is from Sexy MF. It's got a great vibe. It's a very simple song in A, and it just sounds like he's playing like an A7 sharp 9 chord. Although I reckon at a close listen, you can sometimes hear the fifth, the high E. So it might be played up here like a root, third, flat 7, sharp 9, and a fifth up on top. And this would make sense because the pickup posts being staggered on the Kinman pickups that Prince used, the B string post is lower than the G string post, so that string would be quieter. This was, I believe, from back in the day when guitars were first electrified and they had a wound G string which was quieter than the unwound B, so that was too twangy, so the B post was dropped down a bit. Anyway, long story. The pattern is just like a dotted eighth note. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really hard to hear the guitar in amongst all those horns on that recording, but I feel fairly confident that that'd be the shapes for the D7 back to the C7, like flat 7 in the bass. I love that sound because you get that whole flat 5. Oh man, that's so jazzy, it's so cool. So we've got our root down on the B string, our D note, our 13, our third, and our flat 7. Yeah. So we've put down bass, very minimalist, bum, 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 just root note, 4 on the floor, a little wow. to emulate that keyboard sound. I'm not sure if that goes throughout the verses or not. Nice, that's minimal as well. The other line that I've done there on octaves is just... it's not really a guitar line, it's a keyboard line and a vocal line. So the vocals follow that melody. Funky little riff. So once again, here comes Prince with his minimalist funk, because it's he's just playing two notes. And I have stolen this riff, I've played it on so many other songs, I love it. He's just playing your root note and your flat 7. So they're only a tone apart, these two notes. That's the basis of the riff that he's playing, but it varies throughout. Well, let's chuck it on here and have this. Ah, you could do that forever, couldn't you? Controversy. Great fun. Now, there is no better example of Prince's minimalistic approach to funk guitar than his acoustic guitar part on Life of the Party off Musicology. Oh man, it's so simple in every respect, but it is just right. It's just enough. You know, it's even mixed a long way back. There's hardly any instruments on the opening of that song. It's just like I'm going to grab my acoustic for this one. Trusty Mayten. So the groove is over in like an E, and the riff, it's as simple as this. It's like a nursery rhyme. 3, 4. That's all it is. But the tone is more like a percussion part, because the notes don't even ring that long. It's kind of like half muted. It's amazing. Oh, I love that whole album. That's one of his greatest albums, I reckon. Speaking of musicology, that title track is an absolutely perfect example of Prince's minimalist approach to funk guitar and funk arrangement. The song itself is incredibly funky. It's just got this groove that is undeniable, but there's nothing in it. And I'm going to use my Boss looper to show you how little is there. Got my trusty old 400-year-old $300 Court bass with metal strap. The world's squeakiest chair. Wonder what notes they are. Jacob Collier would make a whole song out of that. I mean, for a start, that's the most minimal funk bass line I've ever heard. There's no slapping, it's in B, and the pattern goes B, F sharp. So 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's all there is to it. So let's get the guitar part on here. Now, Prince is known for his use of effects, but that's only where he needs something to stand out, where the guitar becomes a focus, like the intro to Purple Rain or the intro to When Doves Cry. You know, he's got the distortion and the octave pedal on, he's got the chorus on Purple Rain, he's got the phaser on that outro to Let's Go Crazy, where the guitar is a feature. But where it's just a part of the band and it's just creating a funky vibe, quite often is very dry. It's just his trusty telly sort of dry tone. So again, the song's in B, he's just doing B, B, A. Let's record the second guitar part on this thing, which is basically just a B7 chord, or B7 triad being slid back and forth. forget about the pie. 1999, absolute classic. I had to include this because everybody plays it differently. Everybody says the chords are something different to what they sound like to me. It's a combination of the keyboards. You know, there's lots of notes in those key parts. But, you know, if you listen really hard, there's a very dry little scratchy guitar coming through. You can hear some notes on top, and putting that together with the shapes that we know Prince to use, I reckon this is what is going on. So in a minute, I'm gonna loop this up and we'll have a listen. I'll play some faux keyboard parts on the guitar and we'll put this over the top. But for those of you who want to try this at home, this is what I think is going on. You'll see it in the tabs anyway, but F7 up at the 8th fret, I'd call that an F11, I guess. But it's a very precise rhythm. It's like 1, 2, 3, up. I reckon the first time it ends on that sort of F11. And then the second time it's exactly the same riff, but ends back on the F7. That's what it sounds like to me. Happy for you to make your own comment about what you think it sounds like. That's what I reckon it is. That's guitar 1, of course. Then there's guitar 2, which has the wah on it. Now this one is different all the time. It sounds very improvised and it's very typical Prince. And if you watch some live clips, you can see him doing all sorts of different things. But the basis of it is that right on beat 1, he does a little F, E flat, C. And then there's a on every 2 and 4, the typical backbeat. Sometimes he does that, slides up to a D and F on beat 3. And then on the second bar is just, and then a chord, which I think this one sounds really good. So it's like an F13. I'm playing 6, 7, 7, or the flat 7, the 3rd, and the 13th or 6th. So that's it, and then it starts again. But that could be, you know, that Prince loved having the 11th deep in the middle of his 9th chord, but it just sounds great with a wah on it because it's just this fat blur of notes all together. So he could be doing it there, he could be doing like a 13th there, well it's the same as that one, or maybe that same, you know, this is the thing about 7th chords, right? Anything, nearly anything is a 7th chord. I'm telling you that's an F7, but you know, this could be an F7 because you've got your 5th, your root, you've got your 11, your 13, and your 9. So why isn't that an F7? Well, it is. All right, so let's do the same with this one. Get a 909 pattern going on the boss. Put a bass line down. I'll try and emulate the keyboard parts, and then we'll put these 2 guitar parts on top. Clearly having way too much fun. Seriously though. Now something else Prince did that was different to a lot of other funk guitarists is that he wasn't always about filling up every gap with 16th notes. You know, we all know that style of 9th chords and 16th notes and clipped chord, you know, all that sort of thing. But Prince was about a lot of space. So as you probably know, a lot of his songs had many layers going on, multiple keyboards and multiple guitarists, and he loved getting in the studio and really filling it up. But he left so much space in everything, and I think a perfect example of this sparseness is Alphabet Street. So it's got a typical funk guitar pattern, but he's gone away from the ninth chords. He's just playing your basic, what sounds to me like a basic G, C, A, and a B. There's a B flat in there. Just little 4-note on the bottom 4 strings, and there's no music, no chicka chicka going on. I'm going down to Alphabet Street. Make a better day. Woo! Another thing I love about Prince is his use of chords. 1999. We've got those clever little 11ths. Sexy MF. Yeah. It's just that. That's all it is, you know. So he really does make use of quirky chord voicings and things like that. And one of them, for me, one of the coolest things of all is his chordal guitar solo in Kiss. Now, for a long time, I just heard that as a D7 voicing. So it's in an A. But having a really close listen, I reckon it's got his 11th in there as well. So I'm thinking it might be a shape like that. So you've got your root note is A, that's your 11th, your flat 7th, your sharp 9, and then your, again, flat 7 to 13 up on top. So, I mean, his rhythm playing in that is really cool too. So even though he might be holding this shape, most of the strumming is only occurring on the bottom, say 3 strings. But I swear, if you put the headphones on right at the start, you can hear those extra notes in there. And as far as chicka chicka chicka, you can really only hear his upstrokes in between those. Now his strumming is like swung 16ths. That solo is such a perfect example of Prince's use of chords and complexity, but still minimal, because the whole song barely has any notes in it. It doesn't have a bass line. You can't really even hear a third in there. Oh, there's a quiet little bit that goes, you got to not talk dirty, babe. You won't impress me. Something like that in there, but really it's so minimal. So then when he brings in a complex chord, like, it's enriching the song so much, it's really lifting it. So again, the solo is minimal from the approach of jigga 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 jigga, a strummy little chord rather than shredding some licks. But it's all these notes that we haven't heard in the instrumentation of the song up until that point. So that's genius. That's genius. That's what I'm trying to say. And while we're talking about the famous Kiss, I think most people know the intro chord is a little E9 shape with the flat 7 in the bass up at the 12th fret. So you got 12, 11, 12, 12 on the bottom 4 strings. But again, a close listen will reveal that there's a second guitar in there. And I reckon this one doesn't have the wah on it. It's the other one. And the other one, to me, sounds like this voicing. It sounds like an E13 played like that. I mean, I can't... Maybe the root notes there, you can really mainly pick out this D and this C sharp. I reckon that's the one that's got the wah on it. So let's put those both together and have a listen to this. That's it, isn't it? And one of my absolute favourite is one of Prince's earliest creations, I Want to Be Your Lover. The harmony in this song just amazes me. It's just fantastic. The groove, the feel, the everything about it to this day. This is a great example of all these things we've been talking about. So Prince's minimalist approach, his clean playing, leaving space for each instrument. He's arranging his chords where he uses fourths quite often, or 11ths. So let's try and loop this one up with the good old Boss RC300, and I'm going to do the same as before. I'm going to get a crappy out of the box beat going on there, because that's not what we're here about. I'm going to play a crappy bass line on my crappy bass, and then I'm going to put those, and I'm going to pretend to be a crappy keyboard, and then I'm going to put the lovely juicy guitar parts over the top and show you how that all fits together to something that is inevitably and inimitably Prince. Okay, so here comes minimalist guitar part number 1. Just basically octaves, short sharp, staccato octaves on an F sharp note. Alright, now guitar number 2 isn't really minimalist, it's just Prince's funky, cool sort of playing. He's emulating the main riff, but he's doing it with So it really comes down to 3 things that I think make Prince very, very different to the rest of your guitar hero, your funk guitar heroes. The minimalism, the chords, the different chords that he uses, the harmony, and the arranging. Yes, you've got minimalist parts, and yes, you've got weird chord ideas, but they all hang together in this delicate balance in the songs that still, you know, they never feel too busy and over the top, and yet there's so much going on in them, and it's because of those other factors. What we're talking about here is a guy who's gone, well, I'm going to redefine funk, and makes it even more funky. On the surface, he's got this looseness where he belts out these wild bends and crazy lead breaks and things, but under that, the arrangement, the playing is so controlled and so tight and in this ridiculous Prince pocket that he creates all on his own. So I hope you've had fun with that today. I'd love to do some more Prince stuff. I just feel like it might be a little bit done to death. There's lots and lots of clips already on YouTube of guys showing you how to play his songs and how to play his lead breaks and things like that. So if there's something missing, there's something you can't find, you want to know how it goes, chuck it in the comments down here. Let's have a crack. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh. Cereal milk. Thanks once again to Grant for the loan of the real deal. I've loved playing it, and if we get some requests on other Prince things to figure out, maybe I can hang on to this a couple of days longer and do a little bit more work on it. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, give me a share. That'd be generous. You know, we do this stuff for nothing on YouTube. It's just because I love it. So share something. That'd be lovely. Share the love. All right. See you soon, MadCat.